At the moment of my birth, I was the youngest baby in the world. This was in the Stella Maris nursing home in Cambridge, England, where I grew up and went to university. I taught mathematics in a boys' boarding school in southern England for 2 years. And after 2 years teaching mathematics to boys in a boarding school, I decided it was time to leave England. I had been offered a place as a TA at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, where I went to do a master's degree in philosophy. I also started the PhD. I finished all the coursework, but I got distracted when I had the opportunity to work as the photographer on a documentary book about Ukrainian pioneers in Western Canada. And I never got back to finish the PhD. So having worked on this book, I ended up becoming a freelance photographer working for newspaper and magazine articles. Then I wound up in Montreal. I left Edmonton and came to Montreal, where I settled down and ended up as my long-term career as teaching photography at Dawson College in the 3-year professional program to create professional photographers. At the same time, I developed a 30-year career as a freelance writer, writing for newspapers and magazines. I wrote for the Globe and Mail for 6 years and the Montreal Gazette for 24 years, and mostly on photography, but other interesting topics as they came up. And then I retired, and I joined MCLL very shortly after I retired, and I've enjoyed it ever since. My main source of enjoyment in MCLL is a little bit different for a lot of people. What I enjoy doing is making presentation, preparing and making presentation. I love researching interesting topics and turning them into PowerPoint presentation that I send out to the masses. I'm what's called in French a vulgarisateur, someone who can interpret scientific topics for the masses. I've done lectures on relativity, I've done a series of lectures on physics. I did a study group entitled Why Are We Here?, which started with the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago and came all the way through to Homo sapiens sapiens via evolution. So researching those topics and putting it together and making presentation. But I've also been a member of different committees at MCLL. I was, for 6 years, the chair of the IT committee, and I had a big responsibility, a large role in developing Zoom technology at MCLL. In fact, I had brought in some Zoom technology before the pandemic hit, so that when it did hit, I was able to help MCLL to make the transition to being first fully online and then to its new status where it has these wonderful hybrid classrooms where some people can participate in the room because they like to get out of the house and meet other people, and other people can participate online. To me, that's a wonderful situation for the clientele that MCLL serves. Some of the clientele love to be able to get out of the house, meet face-to-face with other people, but other members of MCLL, because of infirmities or because of bad weather or whatever, would prefer to stay home, dress only from the waist up, and participate in study groups and so on via Zoom. If it were possible, I think it's better for people to get together in the same room, simply for the human contact, the human communications, the getting to meet people in the coffee room, just pouring a coffee and chatting to the person next to you. What did you think about so-and-so when he said that outrageous statement about gravity? That kind of thing. But there are many valid reasons why somebody might not want to trek down to downtown Montreal. If it's a snowy day in the middle of January and there's icy sidewalks, do not take the risk of slipping over and breaking your pelvis. That's a serious injury. Stay home, make yourself comfortable, pour yourself a cup of hot coffee, sit down in front of your laptop and participate that way. And I would say that online participation is truly valid. You can have a discussion and be fully participating via Zoom. I don't think it takes away from the interaction when it's a serious discussion about politics or whatever. So I'm really happy that MCLL is able to offer these two ways of presenting everything to the members. They get the choice, and in fact the choice can be made at 8:30 in the morning as to whether you're going to come into town or not. You look at the state of the sidewalks and say, no, I'll stay home this time, and next week I'll go in. So either way is good. In fact, the two methods is ideal. And of course it allows for things like you can take your winter break in the Bahamas and still participate in your favorite study group.